Welcome everybody, and this is our Beonair Forum in the afternoon. So, Josh, how are you feeling, man?
I just worked out, so I feel good. So the
Okay.
endorphins are kicking in. Ask me that in about 9 hours, and I'll probably be asleep in the back of a bus.
Ah, understandable. Deborah, can you turn off your camera, please? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it again. What we're going to do, I'm Philip Bufford. I'm going to be hosting today, facilitating this conversation. Remember, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And then what we're going to do is, at the time appointed, we'll let you open up the mics. We'll let you ask questions to Josh, and he will answer it. Make sure you announce your name, say a little bit about yourself, and then ask your question and stop talking so that Josh can answer the question. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Again, Josh, thank you so much for rocking with us today. And first things first, tell us how you got started in this industry.
I'm a community college dropout, so that's first and foremost. I went to the College of Staten Island in New York City. And in the middle of my third semester, I literally got up from biology class and just walked out because college just wasn't for me. And every day while listening to sports radio, I would hear this ad for kind of a radio and TV 8-week program. So I kind of was like, all right, well, I got nothing to do with my life now that I'm a college dropout. So I should probably just give this a go. So I actually went in there wanting to do TV sports, and then maybe sports radio. And then I ended up getting an internship on the music side of radio at iHeart in New York City. And to get a little personal, I grew up, for lack of a better term, really poor and less fortunate. So I was always taught any opportunity you get, take advantage of it. So I was like, well, I don't really want to do the music thing, but I'm already here. So let's just see where this goes. That was 15 years ago this summer. So I'm still in it. And that's how I kind of got into it, because it was just kind of like, I got to go all in because I ain't got nothing to fall back on. No degree, charisma and personality could only get you so far, right? And let's be honest, that's actually rooted in insecurity. So those traits don't really lead to too many options, if you will. And I knew that very early on in my life. So I had to go all in on the entertainment. Plus, no disrespect to anyone that works a 9 to 5 at an office job, that's just not me. The idea of waking up to an alarm clock sucks.
I get it. So when you landed your first job, what was that experience like, landing your first on-air media job?
So my first on-air job was at WBLI on Long Island, and I lived on Staten Island. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with New York City public transportation, but I took every form of public transportation that New York City offered to go to my first on-air job in radio. It took 3 hours one way, a round trip total of 6 hours on public transportation to work overnights, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. That was my first on-air job in radio. So I would leave my house, walk 2 blocks to a bus stop, take the bus to the Staten Island ferry, go from Staten Island to Manhattan, take the 1 train, which is what I have tattooed on me, to remember that. Take the 1 train up to 34th Street and Penn Station, take the Long Island Railroad to a cab, pay a guy $5.50 to drive me to the radio station because I didn't want to walk 1.5 miles at 10:30 at night on a random weekday. So that's what I did for my first on-air job. And it was 3 hours each way. It cost $41.50 to travel round trip to make $11 an hour. Do the math, $55 I would make per shift before taxes and would pay $41.50. And I never thought twice about doing it. I called out once, and that's when I lied about having tickets to see the Yankees in Game 6 of the World Series, because I wanted to watch Game 6 of the World Series at my cousin's house with my cousins in case the Yankees clinched. They did, and they beat the Phillies in 2009. That's the only time I called out. But other than that, I was there every single time they needed me, doing overnights, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m.
So I don't think people understand the gravity of what you just said. So I'm going to see, can you say all of that again? Because this is your first media job. And I want you to say all of that again, because I don't think people really understand what it takes when you're coming in the ground floor, what that actually means when you're coming in on the ground floor.
No, 1,000%. And that was my first on-air job in radio. My first job in radio shortly before that, I was an overnight producer at the age of 20. I was 20, doing overnight board hopping, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., technically Saturday and Sunday morning. So that's Friday night, Saturday night. I had no social life at the age of 21. When you're 21 and you just turned 21, living in the greatest city on the planet, you want to sit there and, essentially live your best life, if you will. And I didn't do that. So I would work 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., go to sleep in a back studio because I was also a weekend producer from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I would take the cushions out of the jock lounge, put them in a dark studio, sleep for 2 hours and 45 minutes, wake up, brush my teeth, and then start the idea of producing. This is when they were actually weekend producers. And that was my first job in radio. So doing having this abnormal sleep schedule, I didn't care about because I knew that was all part of the hustle and part of the grind. So being able to have an on-air job in radio, I knew I had to do whatever I needed to do. So that included walking to bus stops, taking a bus, a ferry, a New York City train to the Long Island Railroad to a cab. Some days, because I didn't have enough money or I was penny pinching, I would actually walk that 1.5 miles, and I would leave my house an hour early to give myself enough time to walk. And this is going to sound really weird. This is 2009, 2010. Like maps on your phone wasn't really a thing like that. It was available. Yeah. It was available, right? But like it wouldn't reroute you that quickly the way it does now. So I would try to have to memorize things and memorize alleys and pitch blackness. Let me tell you something. As a kid who grew up in New York City, there's streetlights everywhere. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up in downtown Cincinnati, downtown Cleveland, there's streetlights, right? In Long Island, ain't no streetlights. You know what I'm saying? And their street signs are tiny and on a corner. So you're just sitting there like, I don't even know what that says. And you have to physically walk all the way to the light and read the sign and realize I don't even know where this block is. And I got lost a handful of times. But again, that was all part of the grind, part of the hustle. To me, it was a no-brainer. I never questioned it. I never questioned myself, like, why am I doing this? I always knew why.
So one of our core, and you taught here at Ohio Media School, you taught in the Cincinnati campus. Yes. So one of our core values is passion. What fueled your passion to do this?
I always wanted to be an entertainer. The dream job as a kid was to work in sports, specifically WWE. I'm a diehard wrestling fan. And as you get older and you realize, okay, there are different branches of entertainment and sports. So I figured I could do sports TV, sports radio, and kind of dive into that the more I listened to sports radio here in New York City. And that's kind of what led me to wanting to get into radio, because it was, in theory, a form of wrestling. When you really think about what wrestling is and what sports entertainment is, by the way, side note, pro wrestling is cool. Anybody who says otherwise is an idiot. So when you think of wrestlers, you think of performers, you think of John Cena, you think of The Rock, you think of Stone Cold Steve Austin, you think of these iconic characters. It's really themselves turned up to 10. The Rock on TV, Stone Cold on TV, John Cena on TV, Dave Bautista on TV were themselves, let's just turn it up to 10 and be a little more of myself. And that's literally all radio is. That's all what entertainment is when you're able to be yourself. And I figured, well, damn, Stuart Scott, who was on SportsCenter and was a sports icon, you could tell he was himself while still being kind of the TV presentation, but he added a lot of himself. And I always thought that was dope. And radio, honestly, after I get off this call, I'm going to go into the radio station and I'm staying dressed like this. I got a Knicks jersey. I got a backwards hat. The only difference is that I'm going to spray cologne and put lotion on my elbows. That's the only difference, but this is going to stay the same. And that's the beauty of radio. Ain't no makeup. I roll in how I want. I perform how I want to perform. And that's kind of the extent of it all.
All right. I like it. What's going on, John? You got your camera on. So welcome, John Gerard, in the building. So let's talk about this. You got into the industry. You've been working in it. Did you ever have anybody mentoring you when you were doing this?
Yes and no. And I had someone that would help guide me, and a fantastic guy. His name was Jagger. He was the music director of Z100, night guy at 103.5 KTU in New York City. Now he does radio in Kansas City. He was a great guy. Love the guy. But he was so busy and inundated with work stuff that it was tough for him to stop down and really guide me the way that I probably needed guidance. And that's, knowing what I know now about the industry, the fact that he would even try was more than enough for me. There was another gentleman in Des Moines, Iowa named Greg Chance, who we constantly butted heads, but it was more of a Miyagi situation, as I would call it. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. I hate it. And then all of a sudden it clicks down the road and you're like, damn it, this guy in Iowa was right. There was a lot of that. But again, it was these chapters of my life that these people were critical in. There was really, to this day, I don't really have someone that I could turn to as a no-brainer, you know, and that's something that, not to get too personal, I have hella daddy issues. Shout out to us with daddy issues. Probably 94% of us on this call, to be quite honest, which is why we're trying to get into entertainment, because we got daddy issues. So growing up without that strong male presence in my life, I'm used to not having someone to turn to and be like, oh, boom, I'm going to follow their steps. All right, cool. I'm going to do what they're doing. They did it. I'm going to do it. I never really had that. So mentor wise, yes, but it was kind of in chapters of my life. But right now, if I needed, true story, if I needed career advice, I would have to stop down and think, what is the advice that I need? And then open up the mind to be like, who do I call? I don't have that one person that comes to mind, which is a gift and a curse, by the way. And I will say it is a gift because it allows me to not only to not have someone as a crutch, right? And I hate to admit it, but we all, once we have that person in our life, it becomes a crutch. And this goes all the way to parenting with our parents or our siblings, whether you're getting babied too much and you're a grown-ass adult, but your parents are still paying your rent for you, or you sit there and you're like, I don't know how to make a car payment. You're 26 years old and you have a BMW. You should know how to make a car payment, but because you're spoiled, you don't know how to. So the good thing is that you kind of are forced to do things on your own and learn on your own.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. So let's ask this then. You've had a lot of success. You've traveled a lot of places, and we're going to get to the traveling in a moment. But was there ever a time throughout all of your success that you felt like giving up?
Never. It never crossed my mind, only because I put it in my head early on. And still to this very moment, by the way, still to this very moment, July 17th, I think, right? Well, so I think today's the 17th. To this very moment, I don't have anything to fall back on. Which is weird because I've had so many people throughout my career lose their job in radio. They don't know what to do next. And I'll have a laundry list for them. Marketing, advertisement, events, event coordination, anything having to do with working with people, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Yet for me, in my mind, I have nothing to contribute to society, like at all. You know what I'm saying? In my mind. Now, I go to therapy a lot, so I'm trying to break through that. But with that being said, I think it's this weird motivational tool. You know, a lot of us here saw The Last Dance because with the Chicago Bulls on ESPN, because damn it, there was nothing else to watch during COVID, at the beginning of COVID, right? So even if you weren't a basketball fan, your ass was sitting there Sunday nights watching this thing. And there was a famous meme where Michael Jordan goes, you know, and I took that personally. And he was telling a story that really wasn't personal, but he took it personally. And as weird as it sounds, I felt that. Not because I think I'm MJ, because I'm not. I actually hate Michael Jordan, but that's another 90s.
We'll talk about that offline.
Listen, when you grow up having your heart broken, damn it, hate Jordan. Anyway, that, and I couldn't afford his sneakers when everybody else had them growing up. But he said it, and I took that personally. And I remember sitting there like, oh, snap, like that. I saw myself with that mentality because there are so many times in my career that I took things personally that, quite honestly, it wasn't that deep. Like, look, if I could look back at 23-year-old, 26-year-old, 29-year-old Josh, I'd be like, it's not that deep, dog. Like, chill. But at the time, it like motivates you and just kind of pushes you to go, go, go. Good, because it motivates you to try to be the best. Bad, because that's just not good for your psyche.
I get it. We'll talk offline about MJ. You guys did have Patrick Ewing. You know, you guys did have Patrick.
I don't have a ring to celebrate for my team, okay?
Well, you got the Yankees. You got the Yankees. You can't have everything.
The last place Yankees. Thanks. Rubbing it in. Go ahead.
So let's do this because, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff to talk about. But before we jump into it, I want to open it up for questions before we dive because there's a lot of good stuff here. So anybody who has a question, what we're going to do is open the floor up real quick. You can put your hand feature up like this, and you'll see the hand pop up. And then make sure you have your questions ready, and then we'll call on you. So if you have a question, go ahead, hit your hand feature now so that we can identify who you are and what question you may have.
And I want to go on the record before Sarah gets into her question. I just want to go on the record no question is off limits. And I want to be the one to say that. Phil, if you think there's a question that may be a little too personal, a little too this, I promise it's not. I like to think I'm an open book. And when it comes to a situation like this, where you need to know the God's honest truth about this industry, I'm very vocal. I'm very open, because I think that people need to know the truth about this industry. As great as it is, I've also lost my job 3 times.
Love it.
So just for the record, Deborah, Sarah, go ahead, ask whatever you want. But I'm sorry.
That's it. All right. So it's a no holds barred open question right here. So don't miss your opportunity. So we're going to start off with Sarah, since you're the first one. Sarah, you have the floor.
Hi, guys. Thank you. My question for you, Joshua, is you seem to be an incredible storyteller. You're very detailed. Is that something that came natural to you, or is that something that you have to work on?
That came from wrestling, and I'm not kidding. Being obsessed with pro wrestling the way I was as a kid, I was using words and terms that I really didn't know what they were, but because I heard Jim Ross say it or Vince McMahon say it during a match or during a video package, I was using it. There are so many words that I learned, and in wrestling, things are over the top and dramatic, right? We know that. And I think that's where I learned it from, kind of the art of storytelling, if you will. Which is a great Outkast and Slick Rick song, by the way. But yeah, it's all from wrestling. 97% of my life is literally derived from wrestling, and 90s comedy movies is all I ever quote. So
That's
I'm sorry.
awesome.
Sorry,
awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have a better answer. Like, yes, I read these 3 books. No, I watched WrestleMania 6 a lot, dog.
No, I think that's a great answer. Like, I love wrestling too. So like, I completely get where you're coming from.
There you go.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much. All right, Deborah, you got the floor.
Okay. Hi, Josh. My question is, what are the top 3 tips you would give somebody walking into working at iHeartRadio?
Wear as many hats as possible is number 1. That is something that my first day of being an intern at KTU back in the summer of 2008, I asked Jagger, that's who I was assigned. He was the night host at 103.5 KTU here in New York City. And I asked him, what's the number 1 bit of advice, quick elevator pitch type shit. I curse a lot. That's the first time I slipped up. It took that long. I deserve a prize for that. I'm just going to be honest. The fact that it took that long, my mom's going to be very proud that it took that long. I asked him, elevator pitch, just tell me one thing. He said, wear as many hats as possible, which is why I personally have been a music director, an assistant program director, a program director, an imaging director, a music coordinator, a night host, a PM drive host, an overnight host. I've done a lot, a promotions director. I've done a lot in this industry because I just want to learn as much as possible. So the best thing I would say, number 1, wear as many hats as possible. Number 2, network with everyone. I don't care if it's the janitor. I don't care if it's someone you've never seen before. Always introduce yourself to people, because you never know where they're going to end up going in their career. So the same people you see going up, same people you see coming down. We've all heard that quote before, and I cannot push that enough, because I was an intern in 2008, and there are 2 people that I don't like to this day because they treated me like garbage because I was an intern. And guess what? They're not in the radio industry, but I still remember them. And number 3, I would say be as open-minded as possible, and don't think you're good enough to not do something. When I was a program director, I would make it a point to do things that were quote unquote beneath me, so that if I do it, damn it, nobody could say anything about it. You got to do it too. If I'm out here being a street teamer because we're short staffed and I'm not getting paid to do it, but I'm popping up to tent and I'm sweating like a prostitute in church, there's no reason why, if you end up getting sent to do it yourself, you can't do it.
Love it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. So I do want to ask this, because you said something earlier, and we're going to get to the next person in a second, but you said, when you're on air, that it's you times 10. Mm-hmm. So all of the personality that you have, and you said you watch 90s sitcoms and wrestling. How do you put it all together to bring out your personality, even here and even while you're on radio?
It's funny because a lot of us have our go-to jokes. We all have our go-to punchline ready when we meet new people. It's literally trial and error. The same way you did it as in middle school and high school and college years and adult life is the same. It's literally all it is, realizing. And the biggest thing I would say too, and this is something that I am blessed, growing up in New York City, you're kind of forced to pick up on social cues, is realizing that social energy from people. Some people just don't want you at all in their life, and that's cool. They don't want to talk to you, and that's cool. I recently worked with someone who wasn't from New York City, but moved to New York City for their job and had the social cue experience of like a piece of plaster. Okay. And it was just like, you need to not like, just pick up on energy. So I would say that that's probably the most important thing, to be quite honest, in all of it.
Love it. Love it. Francisco, you got the floor.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Chilling.
Yeah, pleasure being here. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Francisco. I'm better known as Mr. Dynamite from Miami, Florida. I go to the campus here. I guess my question is just a little more personal than, and you went ahead and said, hey, look, shoot. So I'm shooting, Bottom line is I'm going through parental alienation, and I grew up, my father lived not too far, again, wasn't involved, so I understand you 1000%. And I'm getting podcasts together, Dad Dynamite, and I was wondering if you would want to, if I could talk to you about it or whatnot, and see how you be able to contribute, or if you have the opportunity to do so, and if not, I completely understand, no love lost. But yeah, I took the opportunity to go ahead and ask you that.
Hey, shoot or shoot. I respect it. We could talk offline. Shoot me a DM. It's Yo Josh Martinez is the Instagram handle. Yo Josh Martinez. Shoot me a DM. We'll talk about it, and don't worry about it. I check my DMs. I check my requests. So I got that for you. All right.
All right.
Sounds good, brother. I really appreciate that, guys. I really do. Thank you very much for allowing me to ask, and thank you for that.
All love.
All pleasure. All pleasure. So for people that are just coming in right now, you've been called in. I've been calling people in the Cincinnati campus all in right now. So some of you have just got in. You are watching the Beonair Forum. You are on I was about to say you're on air with Josh Martinez. But right now you're in the Beonair Forum with Josh Martinez, #1 DJ personality in iHeart. And tell them where you at right now. What iHeart radio station are you at right now?
So I'm on Z100, which is literally the biggest radio station on the planet, out of iHeartRadio. I have the #1 night show in New York City, beating some radio icons that blow my mind that I'm beating them. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something right. And I'm also on air at nights in Chicago at 103.5 KISS FM. And I'm also nationally syndicated through iHeartRadio. And I am on air in 40 plus cities, ranging from Jacksonville to Anchorage, Alaska, and a whole bunch of stuff in between.
Fantastic. So you're on the I'm about to say you're on the radio. And I'm about to say you're on the mic. As I'm trying to edit myself, I go from one thing, I'm like, nope, that's not it either. Right now, you're in the Beonair Forum with Josh Martinez. So feel free to ask questions. We're doing our Q&A right now. People are asking questions. Throw up your hands, type it into the chat, and we'll be glad to answer those questions. All right. It looks like Sarah came back. She has another question. So Sarah, we're going to give it to you.
Sarah, you're muted.
Or did you just need to take your hand down, Sarah? All right, we're going to take the hand down for you. All right, let's go to Nikki. Nikki, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, go for it. You got the floor.
So I am a Brooklyn native as well. Me and you have a lot in common because I lived in Staten Island and used to go to BMCC and take that ferry. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
It ain't fun, dog. It ain't.
At all. Definitely a 3-hour commute at minimum. My question is, at what point in your career did you have other radio opportunities open up for you in order for you to have shows in other cities? And also, at what point did you see that your followers started to increase on social media as well?
I need to do a better job on social media. I'll be the first to admit that. I think I don't clout chase, right? A lot of people clout chase. I'm not about that clout chase life. I don't think I this is gonna sound really messed up, but I don't think I have that interesting of a life on a daily basis to stunt and try to clout chase and create content that makes me look like you got to follow me for all this dope stuff. Dog, I come home to my apartment. I eat cereal for dinner way more often than I should publicly admit, to be quite honest. But in regards to when opportunities came, it all came through networking. It all came through networking, right? Like when I was maybe 3 months in Des Moines, Iowa. So I went from New York to Des Moines, Iowa, because I had an opportunity to be a full-time music director, imaging director, and night host in Des Moines, Iowa. So I went from New York to Des Moines, Iowa. So I was like, I don't know, one of like 8 Puerto Ricans in Des Moines, Iowa, and the other 7 played for the Iowa Cubs, which was the Chicago Cubs AAA team. So I was the only non-Puerto Rican baseball player in the city of Des Moines. At least that's what it felt like. And from there, it's just networking and hustling. I was in Des Moines for 6 months before I interviewed for a job that I didn't get at 103.5 KISS FM in Chicago. So it's all about networking and putting yourself out there. And you never know. It's all about timing. But your name won't come up when the time is right if you don't put your name into the hat.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It's all love.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
You muted yourself, Phil. You muted yourself, Phil.
I really did just mute myself. Like I was free and then I started talking and I muted myself. I don't know what's going on with me. But today I wanted to ask, networking is so important. And can you elaborate a little bit more? Because a lot of people hear networking, but they don't understand what that means. So can you explain for people what networking is?
Bro, it's as simple as sending a freaking email. Just send emails. And here's the thing, the lesser, the better. I'm not going to sit there and read 6 paragraphs of your life story as an introductory email. The emails that I always appreciated when I was running radio stations across Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio, helping with Columbus, all across various regions, would be, hello, people would call me Joshua. Other does that, and that's only when I'm in trouble. But they'd be like, hey, Joshua, my name is XYZ. I'm part-time at this radio station. Would love to get your feedback on this air check, which is essentially a demo tape, a reel, if you will. And I just sit there and go, okay, straight to the point. Boom. I would critique it. I'd give them my notes. They were always appreciative. People were always appreciative that I would stop down and give them my time, because I know I'm not the only one they sent that to. They probably sent it to 25 other people. And unfortunately, I'm probably one of maybe 3 people that wrote back. And I might have been the only one that actually responded productively, rather than, thank you for your email, XYZ. I'll take a listen to this when I get a chance. And then they just kindly screw off and don't get back to it. But I'm so passionate about this industry. I'm so passionate about helping people out, because I know what it was like to sit there and being fiend out for help, and nobody was there to help me. So in that regard, I would say literally as simple as an email to introduce yourself. And yo, it don't hurt to kiss a little ass. You know what I'm saying? If you're like, I'll use myself as an example. Hey, Josh, been following you since you were in Cincinnati. Big fan, seeing you do big things in New York City. Just wanted to let you know that I'm a fan, and, you know, I'm interested in doing radio. You don't think I'm going to sit there and be like, oh, well, damn. Okay. What up, baby? How you doing? Of course, everybody likes their ego padded, right? And it takes no more than 10 minutes to do research on my Instagram to look and go, oh, he did radio in Cincinnati. Oh, and he did it in Dayton. Okay. Which was first? Val. Yo, I've been a fan since you were in Dayton. Yo, it's all theater of the mind. If I read that, I'm going to sit there and be like, oh, let me write back to this dude. He did his homework. Okay. And you could be BSing me, but you're going to catch my attention.
Love it. Love it. Hey, I'm excited. Joseph, you got the floor. You there, Joseph? Wait, am I muted? Nope, not muted. Joseph, you got your hand up.
There we go. Sorry, I had to bring him. My bad. Question for you. I'm at the Ohio Media School here in Cincinnati, and going back with what you said earlier, one of those give it 10 all the time type things. Do you ever like feel like you're just alone by yourself when you're doing that? Like you're just made for something different? Because I feel like I'm always at a 10. I can't turn it down, and people don't know how to take that sometimes.
Well, that goes back to social cues, right? And picking up on the social cues and the social energy and self-awareness. Self-awareness in this industry is key. because the last thing you want to do is make the wrong jokes to someone that just isn't here for jokes, and now they're going to walk away thinking that you're incompetent, or you can't read the room, or you can't do anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you say you're always at a 10 and you don't know how people are handling it, I would say look within yourself, because sometimes you might be able to bring it down to an 8, and that 8 will get you more into a room, or more noticed, if you will. But yeah, social awareness, man. So yeah, I'm up to a 10, but when I get off this call and I go to the bus and I take the bus into the city, my ass is just sitting there listening to a podcast, closing my eyes, like wishing that the AC is working on this bus, basically.
Yeah, but like for those that are high functioning on the spectrum,
yeah,
you know what I mean, that don't pick up on those cues right away, but still have that passion, that drive for this industry. That's kind of where I'm at.
And again, no, and that's cool too. But I think that the most important thing is staying yourself, right? And that's why I said 10 to 8. I didn't say 10 to 2, because then you're not being yourself. You're not being true to who you are. But I would just be just a little more of self-awareness, or just reading the room, taking that extra second to think of what I'm about to say, or what's this energy that I'm feeling from this person. And it's easier said than done. Trust me, I get it. It's easier said than done. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're neurodiverse and your brain works differently. Mine does, right? I have family members that are neurodiverse. But it takes some practice, for lack of a better term, and just kind of working out, where do I want this to go, and how do I want this conversation to end? Just a hair of foresight, essentially. And if it doesn't work, man, it's all trial and error, like I said earlier.
All right, 10-4. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joseph. We got some people that have got questions. Martha typed a question. She says, I have a question. What made you want to get into radio? Because she does podcasting.
I had nothing else to do, Martha. That's literally it. I got into radio because I wanted to do sports. I said this earlier. I wanted to do sports. I got an internship on the music side and was like, all right, well, let's see where I could take this. And it's been 15 years. So I got into it because I was kind of given a shot and knew I can't let this opportunity slip, because who the hell am I to sit there and go, well, it's not sports, I don't want to do this. Nah, dog, that ain't how I'm brought up, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then she said, I go to Ohio Media School in Cincinnati, and then Latricia was like, hey, me too. And then Martha was like, I want to have my own radio station after school, which you can talk to Knock about that. And all right, looks like there are no other questions. I'm gonna pop back over to everybody here, and it looks like the Civ has, did I say that right? DC Civ? I messed that all up. I'm so sorry.
Okay, a lot of people do. It's okay. How are you guys?
Excellent.
Good. Okay, so I'm kind of going through the same thing. I'm an alum from the Ohio Media School out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I love sports too. And that was, it's still my thing. I own a radio station now. I come from the newsrooms, where I worked at Channel 3 here. And so I've had my radio station now for 8 years. And, earlier you mentioned, being in the room with people, that have, somewhat similarities to what you do. And I think that I know that's what I'm facing now. Like, you got any advice on that, as far as me being a radio station owner and just trying to connect with people, because I get a lot of people that do music, of course, sports and all types of stuff. But, to be able to connect with other people that I can continue to grow from is kind of like quintessential to me moving forward.
No, 1,000%. First off, D, you said what city you were from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
What basketball team plays out of there?
Cavaliers, baby. Cavaliers.
Did they make the playoffs?
Yes, they did. Yes,
who they lose? Did they lose to?
Listen, we're not gonna go through that right now. We're in a good space right now. We're in a good space. Look, we're going to the finals in the summer league. So we're heading that.
Did you just say the summer league?
Yes. We're adding pieces and we're making the moves, in order to continue to grow. And so you'll see us again, though. Don't worry. And I love New York. get me wrong. I absolutely love New York, but yeah, we'll see you guys again.
The Summer League. Watch out now.
Yeah, baby steps, growing pieces. Growing pieces. You know,
Okay.
they're hopefully any money bank. They're over there doing their thing. So, you know, growing pieces.
You tell
Growing
yourself that.
on pieces. Yeah. You know that though. You guys know.
So, but to answer your question, I actually went to game 1 of the Knicks Cavs. I flew to Cleveland because it was cheaper than Madison Square Garden. True story.
Yes.
But anyway, to answer your question, be fearless, man. Be fearless. Be fearless. Be fearless. I cannot stress that to everybody in this chat. Be fearless. Don't be afraid, like I said earlier to someone, to introduce yourself to everyone. And in regards to being in the room with these people and you owning a radio station, branch out, right? See what artists are bubbling within your own community, within your own city, within your own region. You don't want to reach out to the artist? That's fine. Find out their management, right? Because their management may have multiple artists. So you never know who could pop off and be the next Bone Thugs out of Cleveland, right? Or the next MGK. You know, Cleveland is fiend out to have their next artist be the next thing. Trippie Redd, I believe he's Youngstown, but you get my point. It's all Northern Ohio anyway.
Right.
Yeah, but the biggest thing, man, just be fearless. Introduce yourself to everyone. That's all that matters.
Okay. Thank you.
All good.
Thank you, D. Thank you. Danielle Garcia, you got the floor.
Yo, what's up, guys? Thank you, first of all. Josh, huge fan of what you do. Love listening to you on my drives home from work and stuff. It's absolutely awesome what you do. So just to give you a quick little background about who I am, my name is Daniel Garcia. I'm from Long Island, New York. Just finished up my first year of college, so I'm 18 years old. So I'm trying to get into this industry as soon as I can. I've already started looking for internships, jobs, wherever I can get myself in, whatever I can do. I just want to get in. I love this industry. I love what it is. But, you know, I feel like we only see the good things about this industry. So you said you want to, you know, really show us everything and, you know, nothing's really off the table here. I just want to know, what's really the most difficult part about working in radio?
First off, you said you're 18?
I'm 18, yes.
You have a really good voice / you enunciate very well. Very well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So best advice or not advice, sorry, the best tips. Honestly, bro, when it comes to radio, it's like anything else. It doesn't matter whether you work at a Starbucks, at a fast food joint, at a Walmart. Technology evolves, and jobs are being lost as a result of technology. It doesn't matter what you do for a living, right? Before you know it, there's fast food restaurants that don't even have employees. You know what I'm saying? That you have these machines that are kind of doing the work for you. So people are losing their jobs in that aspect. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about wearing as many hats as possible. Make yourself as valuable as you possibly could. Learn as much as you could. Listen, to me, when it comes to starting out, 29.5 hours might be your max, 40 hours might be your max. To me, that's a recommendation. I was sitting in these rooms hours and hours after I was done and never got paid for it because I just wanted to be a sponge and learn and absorb. So the best thing I can do for you, the best advice I can tell you is to just do the same when you get in there, when you get into those rooms. I have interns now, not me, my personal, but the radio station interns now that tell me, I want to be on the radio. I want to be on the radio. And yo, I'm on air every single weeknight at 6 o'clock live in the same building that you intern out of. Come into the studio and learn. And there's only been 2 interns that have done it all summer, despite the fact that dozens have told me, I want to learn. And they don't come in. Why? Because they have this long day and they're so tired. It's like, you don't have the passion for this. You want the glory, but don't want to put the work in. And I think the most important thing is to put the work in by any means necessary, whatever that looks like. And to me, the most obvious way is to just put that work in.
I appreciate that answer. And I just got to say, the whole, when you were talking about commuting from Staten Island to Long Island to go to WBLI, I'm actually nearby where WBLI is at right now. And I've done that commute back and forth. I get that. It's a long trip. But, you know, I keep telling myself I want to work in New York City. That's where I want to be. And, you know, at the end of the day, I love doing those trips. But I get it. They're long trips. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's what you got to do to make things happen. So just
And I will say this, you know, D, you want to be in New York City, but you're on Long Island. There are people here in Cincinnati, top 35 market. There are people here from Cleveland, top 35 market. Denver, excuse me, top 20 market, I believe. There's a good chance you're not going to start out in that market. So are you willing to leave everything that you know to go work out of Paducah, Kentucky, Sioux City, Iowa, these really small towns? And this is a bit of a rhetorical question. You need to answer that to yourself first, because I'll never forget when I was teaching at Ohio Media School in Cincinnati, I asked the whole class, what do you want to do with your career, whatever. One girl said, I want to be the next like Angela Yee. So I was like, cool, I love that. You should be the first you, but I get what you're trying to say. And I said, are you willing to move to Paducah, Kentucky, which Paducah is literally just a couple hours away from Cincinnati? She was like, hell no. And I was like, well, you ain't going to be nothing then, to be quite honest, unless you have this once in a lifetime, once in a generation type of talent, it ain't going to work. Or if you have patience to sit there and grind for 20, 30 years and work your way up. Because you got to look at it this way, right? I'm in New York City. Put yourself in the position of the bosses, the big bosses, the people in charge of hiring. Would you rather get this 22-year-old who started off as an intern and has been working part-time for a couple of years, or just get the best person out of Miami, Dallas, San Francisco, Houston? I just named top 10 markets. It's easier to just take the best out of those markets, plug them in New York City, and go. You don't have to worry about someone who doesn't have the experience. Yeah, they're in the building, but that don't mean anything. Keep working at it, kid. You got to leave to come back.
I love that. Please say that one more time.
You got to leave to come back. You know what I'm saying? It's not pretty. This is the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is not a pretty industry. I love it. I'm passionate about it. If you love it and if you have the passion, then it could be the most gorgeous, beautiful thing ever. However, that beauty could all just come apart like that based on budget cuts, based on going in a different direction, based on the radio station flipping the format. But that can't knock you down. It's still a beautiful thing. You just got to find that beauty.
Yeah. So let's talk about moving. How many times have you moved in your career?
Moved to Long Island, moved to Des Moines, Iowa, moved to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, moved to Dayton, Ohio, and I got a job in Cincinnati, but I refused to move. So I drove 45 minutes each way, which it was like 45 miles, 45 minutes. In New York City, it takes 45 minutes to like go down the block sometimes. So 45 miles a day, 90 miles a day, I was chilling. I had no problem doing that, to be honest. But yeah, that, and then obviously back home to New York City. So I didn't even count. So Long Island, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Dayton, New York, 5 times moving, with that caveat of I was supposed to move to Cincinnati and decided to just drive from Dayton 5-6 days a week in my car.
So, and tell them again your ranking as far as the ranking of your show when it comes to other radio shows.
I have the #1 night show in New York City in market #1. And this shit did not happen overnight. Like I said, I've been hustling and grinding 15 years. I've been going at it. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. If iHeart tells me that I got to stop, I'll find another job elsewhere, right? As far as I know, I ain't going to stop anytime soon.
That works. And I had him say that because you guys have to really understand, for those of you who really want to be in this media industry, you got to move. You got to put the work in. You got to go to small markets. And again, unless you're that once in a generation kind of voice that is just magical, even with that once in a lifetime voice, it's going to take a lot of work. So put the work in, put the grind in, put your ego to the side, and do what you need to do to make happen what you want to happen. And quick plug to Daniel Garcia. Dude, you got a really nice voice, and I would listen to you on radio. I just want to give you that
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So before we run out of time right now, it's 18 past the hour, so we got about 12 minutes. I do want to ask this because we've got a lot of people in here that do want to go into radio. So you talked about air checks. We talk about doing air checks. We talk about what's a good air check. So from a professional standpoint and from someone who listens to air checks and being someone that made air checks to get into the industry, what is an air check for those who are still learning? And 2, what is a good air check that will get somebody hired?
A good air check is grabbing my attention within the first break or 2. It shouldn't be no more than 2.5 minutes. I don't want to hear weather. I don't want to hear news. If you can't read a piece of paper, you shouldn't be in the industry, right? So I don't want to hear that. I want to. It's on-air personality. That's the job title. You can sit there all you want and read off the script and go call it 100 right now at 1-800-242-0100 or win tickets to see. Bruh, tell me on the concert. I want to hear you interacting with people. You have one opportunity to make a first impression. And some people, obviously, I'll use Daniel as an example, or Dee from earlier, right? You may not have the opportunity to have your own full-fledged show to the point where you get callers interacting with you. I don't know that. So if you have an air check and you're sending it to me, plant calls. Have your best friend call, and you don't have a phone system, put your phone on speakerphone against the microphone and boom, have that interaction with them and set it up, edit it in Adobe Audition or in Audacity or whatever whatever program you happen to have. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know that you don't have a phone system. So why not have listener interaction to show me what you would sound like if you actually had a phone system in a real radio station? So that would be the most important thing. I want to know what you're going to sound like on the radio station. I want to know what you sound like on a random Tuesday night, a random Friday afternoon. That's what I want to hear. I don't care about you reading off the script to solicit contests or sending me traffic reports. I don't give a damn about that. If you can't read, you shouldn't be in this industry, right? If you can't memorize that script, you shouldn't be in this industry. I want to know who you are as a person. I want to know what your talent is, your personality. I talk about 3 things consistently on air. Or at the very least, I mention 3 things every single night on air. 1, pro wrestling is cool. Said that before, and I'll stress that again. Pro wrestling is cool. Number 2, teachers are the most underappreciated and underpaid people of our society. And number 3, mental health matters. Your mental health matters. I make it a point to talk about one of those 3 things every single night on my show, because that is stuff that I'm passionate about. And that is way more relatable than people understand and even realize. And me simply saying, yo, your mental health matters. It's okay to not be okay. Or just being like, yo, if you're having a bad day, it's all good. We all have bad days. It's that one-to-one communication. It's that one-to-one contact. I don't want to hear your voice on the radio and you as we call puking, and all of a sudden you change your voice. You sound like this, and it's Z100. Like, dude, who the hell is that? That's not you. I want you to talk to me one-to-one. When you're putting together an air check, you're having a show, you are sitting shotgun in the car of the person that's listening, and they're the driver. You're not going to sit there and go, I got a family 4-pack of tickets to XYZ water park. No one talks like that. If you were going to go to your friend and say, yo, I got 4 tickets, but I'm not going to be able to go, you would literally go, yo, I got 4 tickets. If you want them, you got to be caller 10 right now, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. You wouldn't sit there and go to your homie and go, hey, yo, I got a family 4-pack to Six Flags if you want to go. No one talks like that. That shit irks me when I hear it on the radio. No one, family 4-packs is, in my opinion, one of the worst things to say, because guess what? I'm turning 35 in a month and a half. I ain't got a family. So you're making me feel exiled. That's dumb. Don't do that. Sorry. I'm just very passionate about family 4-packs.
Yeah, I don't, I'll go with you on the family 4, but we still got to get 2 more people. So exactly. I love it. All right. So I can't express to you guys enough. Listen to what he's telling you. He's on the #1 show. He's got the #1 show. For those of you who want to be in radio, please listen to what he's saying, develop that personality, and don't read weather. So
it's a waste of time, dog. I know, by the way, I know you guys said 2:30. This ain't none of my business. I'm willing to go a couple minutes over. I'm not in a rush. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah because it looks like she has another question. If you still got questions right now, we got 7 minutes before, which means we got 5 minutes before we wrap everything up. Sarah, you got the floor. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you again. So you have the #1 night show in the #1 market. Are you satisfied with that, or do you have ambitions for other things?
By the way, it's weird because I say it, but then like hearing somebody else say it, it's like, I do. That is weird. I literally, hearing you say that, Sarah, made me like smile, and that's weird. But again, shout out to therapy. No, hell no, I'm not satisfied. You kidding me? I'm never satisfied, man. I go to therapy for a reason, and that's one of the reasons. It's because I'm never satisfied, and it's good and bad. Good because it keeps me striving, it keeps me chasing, it keeps me challenging myself, it keeps me wanting to be the best in my craft, and then jump to another craft and try to excel there. Bad because I'm essentially in a never-ending tunnel. And I don't smell and stop the roses. I don't stop and embrace what's in front of me. And do as I say, not as I do. And you should all stop and smell the roses and embrace life for what it is. I don't do that nearly as much. I have done things in my career before the age of 30 that people have never done before. I have put together sold out shows at now Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati. I am responsible for the first, and up to this point, only Pride-based concert in Cincinnati history in an arena, when I brought Lizzo to Cincinnati, which was an idea I had in the bathroom, dog. And to see that manifest into this real thing where I sold out at the time, US Bank Arena, bucket list stuff. You know what I'm saying? I have, manifestation is real. Ever since I got my first iPhone, which was 2011, I want to say, 2012. I had an alarm or whatever, and you know, you have your little alarm and you can put a message, and I always put, I will be at Z100. And it has been there till this day. It is still there on my alarm. I will be at Z100 because manifestation is real. I have made Facebook statuses, tweets, Instagram posts ever since like 2008 saying I will be at Z100. The dream is to be at Z100, and I'm at Z100. Now the manifestation has always been there to work for WWE, and I will work for WWE. And if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to see me on WWE TV, and you're going to be like, wow, this mofo did it. And it's going to be like, yeah, I did, and I got more to go. Sorry, I know we got a couple minutes. I just keep going off on tangents.
Love it. I love it. Listen, this is what we want to do because I want to make sure you get a chance to give advice on this. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to launch a podcast?
Do it. The amount of time that for years, I sat there, I want to have a wrestling podcast. But then you start down, your mind plays tricks on you. Nobody cares about my opinion on wrestling. Nobody cares about this. Nobody cares. You are your own worst enemy. Just put it out there. And then you start growing consistency. You start getting consistency. You start doing it every single week or every month. You need to build the consistency yourself. Even if 4 people check it out and you sit there and you look at the numbers and you go, damn it, only 5 people are listening. You know what? That's 5 more. And one of them could be your mother. That's still 4 other people that are supporting you. And those 4 could turn into 8, could turn into 12, could turn into 16, 100, whatever. Like I've gone viral within the wrestling space with my wrestling interviews, but I don't have numbers the way a lot of other people do. But it's something that I put together and I'm building, and it's a slow build. And also the wrestling community is so fickle. But that's another conversation for another day. Most importantly, just do it. Just start it. No one is stopping you but you.
Some follow-up question. What advice would you give to someone just getting started in the industry?
Wear as many hats as you can. I can't stress that enough. I know that's like the 3rd time I have said that, but do as much as you can. That's the most important thing that I can tell you. Do as much as you can. Network your ass off. Meet everyone that you possibly could. You know what I'm saying? Shake hands, kiss babies, do all that joint.
Love it. What recommendations would you give to someone in regards to social media and branding?
When it comes to branding, figure out what your brand is and what you want it to be. That's the first thing. Figure out who you are and what you are, and then start posting that brand and make sure that everything's related to your brand. My brand is just my everyday life, which sounds like a cop-out, and it actually is. But you have a brand that's developing in let's say sports or podcasting or music news or hip hop or whatever it is. Do what you got to do what you want to do, and just keep building around your brand and stay focused. Every time you post or before you post, ask yourself, is this credible to my brand? Is this on par? Is this in the same lane? If the answer is yes, then post it. If it's not, find somewhere else to put it. Maybe Facebook.
Love it. What would you say is the most important growing? What would you say is most important in growing a successful on-air career?
Being consistent. The best ability is availability. Making sure that you're always there and you're always available to step up when things happen, to step in when things go wrong, to keep an open mind. And once again, to stay true to your brand and always focus on what it is that you're trying to do. So the most important thing is to focus, but also be a team player. Be a team player with the mindset of we're all trying to make each other better. And have that friendly competition. We have friendly competition all the time. We're always talking mess to each other. Every radio station I've ever worked in, I've made it a point to take little stabs and little digs and kind of like hope that they do the same. And the people that don't, you take that social cue. All right, they're no fun. Then you have other people that take the social cue and you have fun with it. Ooh, my fault.
Even the camera getting in on the action, rocking the boat.
Yeah, man.
So last question, how do you stay relevant? In all of this changing, technology is changing, businesses are doing all kinds of things, the industry is doing all kinds of things. How do you stay relevant?
By being you. By being you. Your relevancy comes from who you are as a person and who you are in your brand. So the best way to stay relevant is to stay true to what you are doing and who you are. That's the best way to do it, because you don't realize how many people right now, there have been couples that have fought because of you. Your name has come up in arguments with couples. Now just think about that. That's just you being you. Now magnify that by giving yourself a platform. The amount of people that would talk about you and ask questions. It could be as simple as asking a question on your Instagram story every single day. I do a little benchmark called Question of the Night where I post things. I have friends that will text me, yo, that's mad funny. This is my answer. They don't want to call in. They don't want to interact, and that's cool. But I'm generating an emotion. I'm generating a feeling. And if you can do that, damn it, you can do it for the rest of your life.
Well, I love it. Josh, it's been a pleasure rocking with you. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Everyone else that's been in here, you've been on the Beonair Forum. My name is Philip Bufford. I've been your host and facilitator for this. Josh, we're going to get connected offline. And with that being said, Linda, I give it back to you. And you're muted.
Everybody does that once. I'm glad my camera was up. I was cracking up. I had so much fun listening to this conversation, and it just takes me back, to when I met you, Josh. You really are that guy. When somebody meets you and has a good conversation, you feel like you've known each other forever. You're just such a genuine guy. You say it like it is. And I knew from that first meeting that I wanted to be your friend, and what a beautiful thing that is. And for everybody here, I will share with you, reach out, Instagram is the best way to get Josh. He will respond to you when he has that chance. He really is so invested in growing the future. And that really resonated when I met with him. He told me he had offered the studio open to other students that had come to the conference. Anybody, they could have come to visit, and maybe a couple came to visit. And it just means so much to him to help that next generation raise up and be successful at what it is you want to do. So Josh, I think we're going to have to invite you back again, because I think we could really have this conversation maybe in the evening with more people that might want to join at the nighttime. But thank you so much for your time and for really being so committed to the industry that you love so much. I think you're going to stay where you're at because you evolve with every conversation. You just never really know what you're going to get. But at the end of the day, we know who you are, so we do know what we're going to hear. Thanks a million. It's been a great hour. And for everybody, please connect with Josh, connect with us, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when we return. Have a nice summer, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. I appreciate you guys. Like I said earlier, it's Josh Martinez, all one word on Instagram, across social media. Hit me up. And I'm looking forward to connecting and helping everyone on this call who wants to help.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. You're awesome. Happy Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.